The first time Serena tried to kill me, she used a narrow-bladed stiletto. I was in my rental, eating instant ramen. Spicy chicken flavor, with a sliced-up hot dog and a handful of spinach. I'd started paying attention to my health after hitting 30, even though this body of mine didn't really need it. The door was unlocked. I heard footsteps in the hall, quiet, but 500 years of experience told me they belonged to a professional. I didn't move. The door opened. She stood in the entryway, wearing a beige trench coat, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, revealing the pale, delicate nape of her neck. She was beautiful, too beautiful to be a killer. She glanced at me, then at the ramen in my hands, and her brow furrowed with what looked like disapproval. "Cole, that's me." She didn't say another word. A flash of steel, and the stiletto was buried in my chest, right where my heart was. I looked down. The hilt was sticking out, the blade completely submerged. Blood slowly bloomed across my white t-shirt. To be honest, it didn't hurt much. I've been stabbed so many times over the last 5 centuries. I'm used to it. I carefully placed the ramen bowl on the coffee table, afraid of spilling it, then looked back up at her. "Ma'am," I said, "that's a quick blade. Where'd you get it?" She froze. The expression that crossed her face was fascinating. First confusion, then disbelief, followed by a surge of alarm. She yanked the knife out, took 2 quick steps back, and dropped into a defensive stance. Blood dripped from the tip, my blood. She stared at the hole in my chest, waiting for me to fall. I didn't. The wound was already closing. In a few seconds, there wasn't even a scar left. I looked down at the hole and the bloodstain on my t-shirt and sighed. I'd only worn this shirt twice. Got it at Target for $25. "Could you maybe try a different method next time?" I said, pointing at my chest. This shirt was pretty new. Her expression shifted, not to fear but to focus. In that instant, a glint appeared in her eyes that I recognized all too well. It was the look of a hunter who's just realized their prey is far more interesting than they thought. "Interesting," she said, and she turned and walked out. That was 3 months ago. Now she's my wife. Part 2, let's be clear. I'm not a freak or a masochist. I married her because she set a trap, and I walked right into it. I've lived for 500 years. What haven't I seen? I've been a beggar and a general, a top scholar, and a wandering rogue. My last identity was a gambling kingpin in Las Vegas known as Ace. I won billions at the tables and made countless enemies. That's why for this life, I chose the identity of Cole, a 24-year-old community college grad working as a freelance graphic designer online. My apartment is a 6th-floor walk-up in an old building on the west side of Chicago. $1,200 a month, no elevator. My plan was to lie low for a few years, let the heat die down. But then the Tartarus Syndicate took the contract. $5 million for my life. The Tartarus Syndicate is the oldest guild of assassins in the game. Been around for at least 400 years. I met their founder way back in the 16th century. He was just a down-on-his-luck scholar who'd been wronged one too many times and went half-mad with revenge. I gave him a few pointers. Never thought he'd turn it into a global enterprise. He's long dead, but the Syndicate lives on, passed down from one generation to the next. Serena is their top assassin, codenamed Snow. After that first introduction 3 months ago, she came for me 17 more times. The second time it was poison. She posed as an Uber Eats driver and slipped a custom neurotoxin into my lunch. It was the kind of stuff you only hear about in spy novels. 1 drop could kill a bull. I ate it, thought the pad thai tasted a little off, and gave her a bad rating on the app. When she asked me later why I didn't die, I told her I had a sensitive stomach and probably just processed it quickly. The third time, she hit me with her car. I was crossing the street when she came barreling through in an SUV, doing at least 50. I flew 30 feet and broke 7 or 8 bones. She watched from the driver's seat, waiting for me to expire. I lay there for 5 minutes while my bones knit themselves back together. Then I stood up and gave her a little wave. She didn't drive off that day. She just sat in her car and stared at me for a full hour. The fourth time was a falling object. She dropped a flower pot from the roof of the building across the street, and it landed squarely on my head. I was out for a good 10 minutes. When I came to, she was standing over me, knife in hand, in the middle of slitting my throat. The second my eyes opened, she was so startled she dropped the blade. "What the hell are you?" she asked. "A person," I said. "People don't do this." "Then what are you seeing?" She went quiet. She didn't try anything else that day. She just sat down on the curb next to me, and we watched the traffic go by. We sat there for a long time, until the sun went down. Finally, she stood, brushed the dust off her pants, and said, "I'll be back tomorrow." "I know," I said. "You're not going to run." "Run where?" I smiled. "If I run, you can't find me, and then you're out $5 million. I wouldn't want that on my conscience." She gave me a complicated look, then left. After the 17th attempt, she suddenly vanished. A whole week went by without a peep. I started to feel a little antsy. The first thing I did every morning was check the locks. Not because I was afraid she'd get in, but because I was afraid she wouldn't come back. In 500 years of being hunted, she was the first assassin I actually found interesting. On the 8th day, I found her at the diner on the corner of my block. She was in jeans and a hoodie, no makeup, hair in a messy bun, sipping coffee. When she saw me, she waved me over. "Sit," she said. Sit. She ordered 2 bowls of grits, one with salt, one with sugar, and pushed them toward me. "Which one's yours?" she asked. "Either one's fine. Pick one." I chose the savory one. She watched me, then pulled the sweet one toward her, took 2 bites, and put her spoon down. "My name is Serena," she said. "I know. What do you know?" "The Tartarus Syndicate's top assassin. Codename Snow," I recited. "Took a $5 million contract on me. No kill, no fee." She blinked, then smiled. It was the first time I'd ever seen her smile. Her eyes curved into little crescents. She didn't look like a killer. She looked like the girl next door. "What else do you know?" "I know you've tried to kill me 17 times. 3 poisonings, 2 car accidents, for falling objects, 2 drownings, 1 arson, and the rest were with blades," I said. "I know you like to eat spicy Thai food before a job. I know you have an old injury on your right wrist. I know you're allergic to pollen. And I know you can't sleep in a strange bed, so you bring your own pillow on assignments." Her smile vanished. "How do you know all that?" "You always eat the Thai place downstairs before you come to my apartment," I said. "When you stabbed me, your right hand didn't have the same force as your left. It wasn't intentional. It was an old injury acting up. You came after me twice in the spring, and both times you sneezed before you attacked. As for the pillow, the 3rd time you broke in, I saw a bit of floral pillowcase sticking out of your bag." She stared at me, her eyes turning cold and sharp again, the way a killer's should. "You've been watching me. You've been trying to kill me," I said. "We're observing each other. It's only fair." We were silent for a long time. The waitress came to collect the check. I paid $12 for 2 bowls of grits. Serena didn't move, just kept her eyes on me. "What are you?" she asked again. "You want the truth or a lie?" "The truth." "My name is Caleb," I said. "I've been alive for 500 years. I can't die." I expected disbelief. Most people don't believe it. But she just watched me, her gaze steady for a long moment, before nodding slowly. "No wonder," she said. "No wonder I can't kill you. You're not skeptical? I saw your bones mend after I hit you with a car. I watched you wake up after I poisoned you. I've put 17 different blades in your chest, and you're sitting here eating grits," she said. "I believe you." Then she stood up, walked over to me, leaned in, and whispered in my ear, "If I can't kill you, I'll have to find another way." That afternoon, she dragged me down to City Hall. Part 3 on our marriage certificate photo. Both of our smiles looked completely fake. She wasn't used to smiling, and I had no idea if I was supposed to. Outside the courthouse, she took both copies of the certificate. "I'll hold on to these," she said, "so you don't lose them." "And now?" I asked. "Now." She thought for a moment. "We go home." "Whose home?" "Yours," she said. I gave up my lease. I've got nowhere else to go. And just like that, she moved into my apartment. 6th floor, no elevator. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 400 square feet. I gave her the bed and took the couch. The first night, I slept like a rock for the first time in 500 years. When I woke up, she was sitting on the edge of the sofa, a knife in her hand, tracing lines on my throat. "You're awake," she said. "I'm awake. I was here all night. Couldn't bring myself to do it." "Why not?" She didn't answer. She put the knife away, stood up, and went to make breakfast. I could hear the sizzle of eggs in a pan and the sound of her humming. I lay on the couch, staring at the crack in the ceiling, a crack that had been there for 3 years because I was too lazy to fix it. But in that moment, I thought, maybe it's time to patch things up. Married life was more complicated than I expected. Every morning, she'd pour me a glass of water. A poisoned glass of water. Not the fast-acting kind, but a slow, colorless, odorless cocktail that no hospital lab could detect. She had a whole collection of recipes she'd gotten from who knows where, and she'd switch it up every day. I'd drink it in front of her, then offer a comment like, "This one's a little sweet today," or a bit of a bitter aftertaste on this one. "Did you switch brands?" She never got angry. She'd just sit across from me, watch me drink it, and then take the glass to the sink. Before bed, she'd practice her knife work. She had all kinds of blades: long, short, wide, narrow, straight, curved, sharpened to a razor's edge, or dull as a butter knife. She'd tell me to sit still, then she'd start stabbing. After each one, she'd observe the wound and jot things down in a little notebook. Butterfly knife, wound depth 3 inches, healing time 3 minutes 42 seconds. Cookery, wound depth 2 inches, healing time 2 minutes 18 seconds. Tonto, wound depth 4 inches, healing time 4 minutes 51 seconds. When she was done, she'd put the notebook away, pour me a glass of water, and say, "Sleep well. We'll try a new one tomorrow." Sometimes I'd ask her, "What's the point of all these notes?" She'd think about it. "I don't know, but it feels like I should be writing something down." This went on for 2 months. In those 2 months, she tested 87 different knives and 43 different poisons. My body was more honest than her notebook. The poison was metabolized in minutes. The wound healed the second the blade was out. She went from initial shock to acceptance, and eventually, she started asking for my opinion on which poison had a better mouthfeel. "How was today's?" she'd ask. "A little chalky," I'd say. "Yesterday's was better. The one that tasted like strawberries. That was cyanide mixed with fruit punch," she said. "You liked it? I'll make again tomorrow." "Sounds good." And she did. I drank it and told her she was getting better at it. The corner of her mouth twitched. I couldn't tell if it was a smile. One night, she asked me, "Do you ever get tired?" "Of what?" "Of living for 500 years, she said. "Don't you get tired?" I was silent for a long time. 500 years, and no one had ever asked me that question. They feared me. They hated me. They wanted to use me. No one ever asked if I was tired. "Yes," I said. She nodded and didn't press it. That night, she didn't practice with her knives. We just sat on the couch and watched an old movie. Halfway through, she fell asleep, her head resting on my shoulder. I didn't move. I just sat there like that until morning. Part 4 things came to a head in her 3rd month with me. She told me she had to go back to the Syndicate. There was business she needed to handle. I asked what kind of business, but she wouldn't say. I asked if she wanted me to come with her. She glanced at me. "For what? To get yourself killed?" "I can't be killed," I reminded her. She paused. Then a small smile touched her lips. It was the second time I'd seen it. "Wait for me," she said. She was gone for 3 days. For 3 days, I was restless. For the first time in 500 years, I understood what it meant to worry about someone. On the morning of the 4th day, she returned. She was covered in bruises, her face was swollen, and she walked with a heavy limp. I didn't ask any questions. I just helped her to the couch and started cleaning her wounds. She didn't speak, just watched me. After I was done, she finally spoke. "They called me back for a performance review," she said. "Told me this contract was taking too long. A $5 million job, and I couldn't close it in 3 months. It was embarrassing, and they said they were reassigning it." Her voice was flat. "They said I wasn't up to the task. Told me to hand over the file and report for disciplinary action. Did you?" "No." She looked up at me. "I told them this one was mine. No one else was touching it." I looked at her, and something inside me shifted. "They didn't believe you?" I asked. "They locked me up for 3 days," she said. "Told me to think it over. They let me out today and gave me a final deadline. 7 days. If I can't finish the job in 7 days, they'll give it to someone else, and I go back for punishment." "What kind of punishment?" She didn't answer. But I knew the Syndicate's rules. For failing an assignment, an assassin would lose a finger at best. At worst, they'd be crippled. As their top agent, her punishment would only be more severe. "So what are you going to do?" I asked. She looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. "I spent 3 days thinking," she said. "And I realized one thing." "What's that?" "I can't kill you," she said. "Not because I'm not able, but because I don't want to." I was stunned. She kept talking, her voice so soft I could barely hear it. "I don't know when it started. Maybe it was when you drank my poison and told me it tasted good. Maybe it was when you let me stab you without ever flinching. Maybe it was when you sat perfectly still all night, just so I could sleep. I don't know, but I know I don't want to kill you anymore. What about your assignment? She didn't answer. She stood up and walked to the window, her back to me. You should go, she said. What? I said you should go. Her shoulders were trembling slightly. Leave the city, create a new identity, hide. The Syndicate won't find you. I'll take the mission failure. I'll go back, take my punishment, and when it's over, I'll quit. And then, she trailed off. And then what? And then I'll find you. Her voice was shaking now. As Serena. Not as Snow. I'll find you. And I'll ask you if you'd be willing. She couldn't finish. I stood up and walked to her. Willing to what? She turned around. Her eyes were red, but there were no tears. If you'd be willing to spend a life with me, she said. I know you've lived for 500 years. My lifetime is just a blink of an eye to you. But I'm not greedy. One life is enough. I looked at her. For 500 years, I met so many people, lived through so many things. People had loved me, hated me, used me. But no one had ever asked me if I would be willing to spend a lifetime with them. Go, she urged, pushing me. Before I changed my mind, I didn't move. Serena, I said. What? You just said, if you can't get it done in 7 days, they'll reassign it. She nodded. To who? Syndicate rules. It goes to the number 2 assassin, she said. His name is Nighthawk. He's more ruthless than I am, and he'll come after me. Yes. While you go back for your punishment, lose a finger or get crippled. She didn't speak. And after all that, I'm supposed to hide. Nighthawk gives up. You quit, and then you come find me? She nodded again. I laughed. Serena, I said, have you ever heard the expression a total lose-lose situation? She just stared at me. I took her hand and pulled her toward the door. Where are we going? The Tartarus Syndicate, I said. Take me there. Part 5 The Syndicate's headquarters was a historic mansion on the west side of the city, hidden behind a gate with a private property, no trespassing sign. Serena led me through a series of hidden passages into the main hall. A group of people was gathered there. In the center sat a white-haired old man, the Syndicate's current director. Flanking him were his top lieutenants, with a few younger assassins standing in the shadows. When the director saw Serena, his expression darkened. Snow, he said. Why have you returned? I brought someone, she said. Who? Him. She pointed at me. Cole. My target. Every eye in the room turned to me. The young assassins in the corner started whispering. The director's brow furrowed. Absurd, he slammed his hand on the table. Bringing a target into headquarters during an active mission? Have you lost your mind? I haven't lost my mind, Serena said. I brought him here to tell you something. What is it? I'm dropping the contract. The room erupted. Several of the lieutenants shot to their feet. The assassins in the corner looked thrilled. A vacancy just opened up. The director's face was as dark as a thundercloud. Serena, his voice was ice. Do you know the penalty for abandoning a contract? Edo. And you dare to come here? Edo. She stood there, her back ramrod straight. I looked at her, remembering the first time I saw her at my door, beige trench coat, ponytail, a clean, swift strike. Then, she was the killer, and I was the target. Now, she was standing in front of me, protecting me. Fine, the director stood. As per the code, any agent who abandons a contract will have their skills stripped and be exiled from the Syndicate. Proceed. 2 of the lieutenants started toward her. Serena didn't move. I took a step forward, placing myself in front of her. Hold on, I said. The director looked at me, his eyes filled with contempt. And who are you to say anything? I'm the thing you can't kill, I said, and the thing you can't afford to piss off. He scoffed. A target, daring to act tough in the heart of the Syndicate. I'm not a target, I said. My name is Caleb. The name hung in the air, and for a moment, the hall was silent. A couple of the older lieutenants exchanged confused glances, but the younger ones had never heard it. The one they called Nighthawk, a man in his 30s with a cruel smile, stepped forward. Caleb, he said, never heard of you. You're too young, I said, but your mentor would have. Nighthawk froze. His mentor had been the previous Snow, and he'd been dead for a decade. So what if he did? He sneered. He's dead. Then ask his mentor. His face changed. His mentor's mentor was the Snow from 40 years ago. He was just then, a frail voice echoed from a back room. Let him pass. Everyone was stunned. The director's face paled, and he finally waved his hand. Nighthawk stepped back, his face a mask of resentment. I took Serena's hand and led her into the back room. The room was dimly lit. An old man sat in a wheelchair. He had to be at least 90, his face a roadmap of wrinkles, his eyes clouded. But when he saw me, they suddenly lit up. "It's you," his voice trembled. "It's really you. You know me?" I asked. "No," he said, "but my mentor did." "Your mentor?" "The director before this one. He died 40 years ago," he said. "Before he passed, he told me a story." "What story?" "He said that when he was a young man, a person appeared at the Syndicate. That person held a token and made the director at that time kneel." I smiled. I remembered. "That was me," I said. 400 years ago, before your founder was even dead." The old man's hands were shaking violently. He pulled something from his coat. It was a wooden plaque with a single character carved into it. "The Oracle of Tartarus," he said. "It's been passed down for 400 years. Every director, on his deathbed, gives the same instruction. If a man ever appears with this token, the entire syndicate is to kneel and welcome him." He held up the plaque. It was the token I'd casually given that bitter scholar 4 centuries ago. I never imagined he'd turn it into their holy relic. "You have a token?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "Waiting for you." I held out my hand. He placed the plaque in my palm. The wood was dark with age, but the character was still clear, a simple A, for Ace, my last alias of note. I turned and walked back into the main hall. Serena was still standing there, surrounded by hostile faces. I walked to her side and held up the plaque. "Recognize this?" When the director saw the engraving, his face went white. He dropped to his knees with a thud, his voice trembling. "The 17th director of the Tartarus Syndicate pays his respects to—" He stopped, unsure what to call me. "Call me whatever you want," I said. "But right now, my name is Cole. Respects to Mr. Cole." "Don't bother." I cut him off. "Get up. I only have one thing to say." He stood, looking at me with terrified eyes. "Serena's contract is canceled," I said. "The money is non-refundable. Anyone with a problem can take it up with me." No one said a word. Nighthawk's face was livid, but he kept his mouth shut. "And one more thing." I tucked the plaque away. "From this day forward, she is no longer a member of the Syndicate. She's with me. Anyone who touches her answers to me." With that, I took Serena's hand and walked out. As we reached the door, she stopped. "Wait." She turned, walked back to the director, and bowed deeply. "Director, thank you for your guidance all these years," she said. "But this man, I can't bring myself to kill him. I'm sorry." The director looked at her, his lips moving, but no words came out. She straightened up and returned to my side. "Let's go," she said. We stepped out of the Syndicate's grand doors. Night had fallen, and the streetlights were on. A few pedestrians glanced at us before hurrying on their way. I held her hand as we walked slowly home. After a long while, she asked, "What you said back there, was it true?" "What part? That I'm with you?" I stopped and looked at her. The glow of the streetlight softened the lines of her face. "Serena," I said. "Yes. You asked me the other day if I would be willing to spend a life with you." She nodded. "I'm answering you now," I said. "I am." She froze for a second, then smiled. The third time I'd seen it. Her eyes curved into crescents again. "What about your 500 years?" she asked. "I still have them," I said. "But this life of yours, I'll spend it with you." She didn't speak, just looked at me. Then she leaned in and gently brushed her lips against my cheek. "Come on," she said. "Let's go home." "What for?" "To poison you," she said. "I haven't tested today's new recipe yet." Part 6, we still live in that old building, 6th floor, no elevator for 100 square feet. Every morning, she pours me a glass of poison water. I drink it and tell her it's delicious. Every evening, she tries out a new knife, and I time her. She's already filled 3 notebooks. Her latest entry reads, "Modified Tonto, wound depth 3.5 inches, healing time 4 minutes 2 seconds. 49 seconds faster than the original. Recommend optimizing blade curvature." Sometimes I ask her, "What's the point of all this research?" She thinks for a moment. "What if there's someone else like you someday?" "There isn't," I say. "It's just me." "But what if?" I look at her serious expression and just let it go. Last month, she told me she wanted to move to a bigger place. I said fine. She said she wanted to get a cat. I said fine. She said she wanted me to move from the couch to the bed. I said fine. She glared at me. "Is it the only word you know?" I thought about it. Okay. She laughed and threw a pillow at me. I dodged, and it hit the wall, falling perfectly over her head. She pulled it off, her hair a mess, and looked at me with an expression I'd never seen before. I don't know what you call it. I lived for 500 years and was seeing it for the first time. That night, I finally moved from the couch to the bed. She slept on the left, I slept on the right, and we drew an imaginary line down the middle. In the middle of the night, she rolled over, and her hand came to rest on my chest. I didn't move, just lay there, listening to the rhythm of her breathing. Moonlight filtered through the window, illuminating her face. She looked so peaceful when she slept. Not like a killer, like a cat. I suddenly remembered something from 400 years ago. That down-on-his-luck scholar asked me, "Sir, you've lived so long. Don't you get tired?" I said yes. He asked again, "Then why do you keep living?" I said, "I'm waiting for an answer." He asked, "What answer?" I didn't reply, because I didn't know, but now I do. This is the answer. The next morning when I woke up, she was already busy in the kitchen. The clatter of pots and pans, the sound of her humming. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming the floorboards. She came out with a glass of water and set it on the nightstand. "Today's new recipe," she said. "Try it." I picked it up and took a sip. "It's a little sweet," I said. She smiled. The fourth time I saw her smile. And I thought, there's no poison in this glass. Part 7, she told me she had a secret. We were lying in bed that night, the imaginary line still between us. She suddenly rolled over to face me, her eyes shining in the dark. "Cole, I have a secret." I turned to look at her. A sliver of moonlight escaped through the blinds, tracing a silver line across her cheek. "What is it?" "You first," she said. "You've lived 500 years. You must have tons of secrets. Tell me your most embarrassing one." I thought for a moment. In a previous life, I was a eunuch. She froze, and she started laughing so hard the whole bed shook. "Are you serious?" "Deadly," I said. "It was the Ottoman Empire, early 17th century. I needed to get inside the palace to investigate something, so I snuck in as a servant. They were rounding up a batch for castration, and I couldn't get away. Took forever to recover." She couldn't stop laughing. Tears were streaming down her face. "So that thing, it grew back," I said. "Took 3 months. For those 3 months, I had to walk with my legs clamped together. It hurt." When she finally finished laughing, she wiped her eyes and scooted a little closer. "Your turn," I said. "Your secret." She was quiet for a moment. "The first person I ever killed was my mentor. I was 12, she said. I looked at her, saying nothing. "He was a good man," she said. "He was so good to me. Taught me how to fight, how to read, how to be a person. But he got sick, a terrible illness with no cure. He asked me to kill him. He said he didn't want to die in a bed. He wanted to die with dignity. And you did it." "I did," she said. "One clean strike. The first move he ever taught me." She paused. After that, I knew I was cut out for this line of work. Because my heart was hard. "It's not," I said. "How would you know?" "The first time you stabbed me, your hand trembled," I said. "Most people wouldn't notice. But I did." She didn't respond. After a long while, she asked, "Then why did you just let me stab you?" "I figured you could use the practice." She punched me lightly on the arm. "What else?" I asked. "What else what?" "Your secrets." She thought for a moment. "The reason I can't sleep in a strange bed isn't because I'm picky," she said. "It's because when I was a kid, I had nightmares all the time. The only way I could fall asleep was with my own pillow, with a familiar scent. And now, she paused. "Now I can sleep." "What?" She didn't answer. But in the darkness, her hand reached out and gently took mine. The next morning, the water she gave me was poison-free again. Part 8 on the 7th day, someone from the Syndicate came. It wasn't Nighthawk like I'd worried. It was the old man, the one in the wheelchair, the former top agent from decades ago. He had someone carry him up the 6 flights of stairs. He was so out of breath, he had to sit by the door for 5 minutes before he could speak. "Sir," he called me, his tone still deferential. "What is it?" "The director sent me to ask a question." "Ask." He glanced at Serena. She took the hint and went into the kitchen, but I knew she'd left the door cracked open to listen. "Sir, you said that day that the girl, Snow, was with you," the old man said. "The director wants to know if that's still true." "It is." "Then if the Syndicate were to ask for a favor, could we ask it of you, through her?" I looked at him. "What kind of favor?" The old man sighed. That boy, Nighthawk, he refuses to accept it, he said. He thinks the director is playing favorites, that Snow used you to steal his position. Yesterday, he gathered a group of followers and started making trouble, threatening to break away. Break away? The Syndicate has been unified for 400 years, the old man said. The director can't control him. He was hoping you would intervene. Don't you have a token? The token is with you. I pulled the wooden plaque out and tossed it to him. Take it. Make them kneel. The old man caught the token and gave a bitter smile. Sir, the young people today that don't believe in these things, he said. They say the token is a fake, that you're just a story we made up to scare them. They only believe in strength. I understood. You want me to give them a demonstration? We wouldn't dare ask, the old man said. But if you were willing, I stood up. Serena came out of the kitchen and looked at me. Are you going? She asked. Do you want me to? She thought for a moment. I grew up there, she said. I don't want to see it fall apart. I nodded. Let's go. Part 9 in the main hall of the Syndicate. Two factions were at a standoff. On one side, the director and his lieutenants, their faces grim. On the other, Nighthawk and a half-dozen young assassins, all armed. When they saw us enter, Nighthawk let out a cold laugh. Well, look who's here, he said. Cole, is it? I hear you've lived for 500 years. I didn't say anything. I don't believe it, he said. No one lives for 500 years. You're a con artist? And Snow here fell for it. Serena took a step forward, but I held her back. What don't you believe? I asked him. That you can't die. Want to test that theory? He hesitated. The men behind him exchanged uneasy glances. How? He finally asked. I walked right up to him, rolled up my sleeve, and held out my arm. Take a stab. He looked at me, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. Scared? Why would I be scared? He drew his knife and plunged it into my forearm. Blood sprayed onto his face. He jumped back, waiting for me to collapse. I didn't. The wound was closing. Within seconds, not even a scar remained. I wiped the blood from my arm, revealing flawless skin. The hall was dead silent. Want to go again? I asked. Nighthawk's face was pale. He stabbed me again, and again, and again. After the 7th cut, my arm was still just an arm. The hand holding his knife had started to tremble. Had enough? I asked. He didn't speak. I took a step forward, and he took a step back. The token is real, I said. I gave it to your founder 400 years ago. When he died, did he happen to leave any instructions? No one answered. The 90-year-old in the wheelchair spoke up, his voice trembling. He did. He said that man was a god. I'm not a god, I said. I just can't die. I looked at Nighthawk. Do you yield? He grit his teeth, silent. Fine, I said. Keep stabbing. Stab until you do. He didn't move. Then tell me what you want. He finally spoke. I want fairness. Why is she the top agent? Why does she get to abandon a contract without punishment? Why does she get to bring an outsider back here and throw it in our faces? Did you elect her top agent? I asked. Or did she fight for that title? He fell silent. The year she became #1. How many people did she have to beat? One of the older assassins muttered, 37. All of them. Have you ever beaten her? No. Then what are you complaining about? Nighthawk's face flushed with anger. She couldn't kill you, he shouted. She failed the mission. What kind of top agent can't even kill a single target? I smiled. You're wrong, I said. She can kill me. Everyone stared, including Serena. She looked at me, completely baffled. She just doesn't want to, I said. Anyone she truly wants to kill never gets away. But she chose not to, and that's much harder than killing. I walked to her side and took her hand. And another thing, I looked at Nighthawk. She didn't bring an outsider back to show off. She brought her man back to protect the place where she grew up. Whether this place deserves her protection is something you all need to figure out for yourselves. With that, I started to lead Serena out of the hall. As we reached the door, a voice called out from behind us. Patron. It was the 90-year-old. He was struggling to get out of his wheelchair, but couldn't. He looked at me, tears streaming down his wrinkled face. Patron, are you leaving? I stopped. I'm not your patron, I said. I'm just a passerby. But the token, keep it, I said. Pass it down. Maybe in another 400 years, it'll be useful again. I let Serena out the main doors. The sun was bright and warm on my skin. What you said back there, she asked quietly, was it true? What part? That I could kill you. Yeah. But what? She stopped and looked at me. I tried for 3 months. I tried everything. she said. You never died. That's because you didn't want me to. I did. I did it first. You did it first, I agreed. But then you didn't. You didn't realize it, but I did. Starting around the 15th attempt, your aim was off. You were only stabbing non-lethal spots, and you were pulling your punches. She was speechless. You knew? I knew. Then why didn't you say anything? Say what? That my wife couldn't bear to kill me. I grinned. Where's the fun in that? She stared at me, but her eyes were welling up. Cole. Yeah. You were so infuriating. I know. She leaned in and kissed me hard on the cheek. Then she grabbed my hand and started walking. Let's go home. What for? To poison you, she said. I guarantee you won't be able to guess the ingredients in today's new recipe. Part 10 that night, she asked me another question. Cole. In 500 years, how many women have there been? I thought about it. I lost count. She rolled over, turning her back to me. Are you mad? No. I chuckled and gently turned her back to face me. I am kidding. Not that many. How many? Two, I said. You're the third. She didn't believe me. It's true. The first was in the 16th century. A nobleman's daughter. I saved her life. She came to see me once, in secret, before she was married off. What happened to her? She married, had a good life, lived to be over 60, surrounded by children and grandchildren. She wasn't smiling anymore, just staring at me with wide eyes. She was quiet for a long time. What about the second one? The 1920s. A suffragette. I helped her escape from the police. She went on to become a major activist, and I never saw her again. Did you love her? I don't know, I said. There wasn't time to think about things like that back then. What about me? I looked into her eyes. In the darkness, they were like pools of starlight. You're different, I said. How am I different? There were people I met along the way. They walked with me for a little while, and then they were gone, I said. You're the one who came looking for me. You chased me for 3 months until you caught me. She smiled, and as she smiled, a tear rolled down her cheek. Cole. Yeah. Do you know why I couldn't kill you? Why? Because one morning, I was sitting by your couch, holding a knife, watching you sleep, she said. And you looked like a child. I just thought, how can a person who's lived for 500 years still sleep so soundly? She paused. Then I figured it out. It's because you never guarded yourself against me. You knew I was there to kill you, but you let me sleep next to you, drink my poison, let me stab you. You never dodged, never put up a defense. And I thought, no one else in the world will ever trust me like this. I looked at her. Do you regret it? I asked. Giving up the contract, giving up the syndicate, all for a man you can't kill. Regret what? She said. I can always find another contract. I can always build another syndicate. But where am I going to find another man who can't be killed? I smiled. Well, you found him. I found him. She snuggled closer into my arms. Cole. Yeah. How much longer do you have? How much longer for what? How much longer will you live? I don't know, I said. Maybe forever. She was quiet for a moment. What will you do after I die? I didn't answer. Will you forget me? She asked. In a few hundred years, will you still remember me? I will. Really, really, I said. I remember everything from the last 500 years. The first person who tried to kill me, the first person who saved me, the first person who loved me. I remember them all. Then what am I? You're the first person who made me not want to die. She didn't speak, but her hand gripped my shirt, holding on tight. After a long time, she said softly, Cole, I want to have a baby with you. I froze. What? So you won't forget, she said. No matter how many years go by, when you see him, you'll remember me. I looked at her. In the moonlight, her cheeks were slightly flushed. Do you know what that means? I asked. I know. I'll watch you grow old. I'll watch you die. Our child will grow old and die, and I'll still be here. I know. You're not afraid? She thought for a moment. I am, she said, but I'm more afraid of you being alone. That night, I didn't sleep for a long time. She lay in my arms, her breathing soft and even fast asleep. I looked at her, thinking about the long road I'd traveled, the people I'd met, the things I'd seen. From the 16th century to the 21st. Wars, plagues, life, and death. I'd seen it all, and I feared nothing. But in that moment, I was afraid. I was afraid of waking up one day and not having her beside me. Part 11, 3 months later, she was pregnant. She came back from the doctor's office that day, holding a lab report, and just stood in the doorway, looking at me. Cole. Yeah. You're going to be a dad. I just stood there stunned. She walked over and slapped the report against my face. Cat got your tongue? A little. She laughed. Then she started to cry. I held her, and she cried in my arms for a long time. What's wrong? I don't know, she said. I'm just so happy. That night, she put away all her knives. She threw out all the poisons. She locked her little notebooks in a drawer. No more practice? I asked. No more practice, she said. What if I hurt the baby? You wouldn't hurt me. I know, she said, touching her stomach. But he doesn't. What if I scare him? I looked at her, my heart melting. Serena. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For not killing me. She paused, then smiled. And as she smiled, she started to cry again. Over the next few months, she became very quiet. No more poison research, no more knife testing. Her days were filled with reading, cooking, and knitting sweaters. She knitted one after another, big ones, small ones, red ones, blue ones. I told her she was making too many. She said the baby would grow fast. One night, she asked me, Cole, who do you think the baby will look like? Like you. Why? Because you're beautiful. She smiled, then asked, will he be like you? Will he be unable to die? I didn't know how to answer. I don't know, I said. No one's ever had a child with me before. She fell silent. After a long while, she said, what if he can die? What do you mean? What if he's a normal person? He'll be born, grow old, get sick, and die. Can you handle that? I thought about it. I can, I said. As long as he's like you. She started crying again. She cried a lot after she got pregnant. I had to learn a new skill, comforting her. Don't cry. I'm not crying. Your eyes are all red. I'm just sleepy. I smiled and pulled her close, letting her lean against me. Serena. Yeah. No matter what he's like, he's our child, I said. And I'll love him. She didn't say anything, but her hand squeezed mine tightly. Part 12, the baby, was born in the winter. It was snowing heavily that night. I was in the delivery room with her, holding her hand. She was drenched in sweat from the pain, but didn't make a sound. Doctors and nurses rushed in and out. I stood by, helpless. For the first time in 500 years, I was terrified. Finally, a cry pierced the air. The nurse came out, holding a tiny bundle. It's a boy, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Mom and baby are doing great. I took the baby, looking at his little wrinkled face, and a feeling I had never known washed over me. Serena lay in the bed, pale but with shining eyes. Let me see him. I brought the baby to her. She looked at him and smiled. He looks like you, she said. Ow, he just does. She reached out a finger and gently touched his cheek. What should we name him? I thought for a moment. How about Noel? I said, to remember the snow. She froze. Then tears started rolling down her cheeks again. It's perfect, she said. It's absolutely perfect. That night, I sat by her bed, holding our son, watching her sleep. The snow was still falling outside, but the room was warm. The baby shifted in my arms and let out a tiny yawn. I bent down and kissed his forehead. Son, I whispered, welcome home. He opened his eyes and looked at me. And in his gaze, I saw the same look she'd given me the first day we met. The rest of our story is just ordinary days. Serena quit being an assassin. She opened a small convenience store at the end of our block, selling snacks and drinks, and raising our son. Sometimes people from the old syndicate would come to visit, bringing gifts, and leave after a short while. Nighthawk even came by once to apologize, saying he'd been a fool. Serena just poured him a cup of coffee and said nothing. Our son grew. He learned to smile, to crawl, to walk, to say mama and dada. The first time he said mama, Serena cried. The first time he said dada, she laughed. I watched her cycle through tears and laughter and felt that my 500 years had been worth it. Sometimes at night, after the baby was asleep, we'd sit on a fire escape and look out at the city lights. Cole, do you ever regret it? Regret what? Marrying me, she said. If it wasn't for me, you could still be free, go wherever you wanted. I looked at her. In the moonlight, I could see a few silver strands in her hair. No regrets, I said. Never. She smiled and leaned her head on my shoulder. I have one regret. The first time I stabbed you, she said. I was too rough. I should have been gentler. I laughed. It's okay, I said. It healed. She laughed too. And then she fell asleep. I carried her back inside, put her to bed, and pulled the covers over her. I looked at her peaceful face. After 500 years, I finally understood something. Being immortal wasn't a curse. It was a gift, because it was the only way I could spend a lifetime with her. The moon outside was full and bright, its light shining on the three of us. Me in the middle, her on the left, and our son in his crib on the right. This was what I wanted. This was the answer. Epilogue. When our son was 3, he asked me, "Daddy, why don't you get old?" I paused. Serena was nearby, watching, not saying a word. I thought for a moment, then knelt down to look him in the eye. Because Daddy has a secret. What secret? Daddy used to be all alone. And now I have your mommy, and I have you, I said. And that makes all the difference. He didn't quite understand, but he nodded. Will you stay with me forever? I will. Forever and ever. Forever and ever. He smiled and ran off to find his mother. I stood up and watched the two of them in the kitchen. Serena was cooking, and Noel was helping, which mostly meant making a mess. The sound of their laughter and clattering pans filled the apartment. Sunlight streamed through the window, warm and bright. I suddenly remembered that scholar from 500 years ago asking me, "Sir, you've lived so long. Don't you get tired?" Back then, I didn't know how to answer. Now I do. Not at all, because I have someone waiting for me to come home.